U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something different. Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years.
So a lot to unpack there, and obviously a lot of questions, and some people speculating that the U.S. administration officials were scrambling to follow up with okay, here's what the president actually means. The White House press secretary came out and said, well, it's going to be a temporary relocation. The president means this. We're not sending U.S. troops in. The U.S. is not going to fund this, et cetera, et cetera. But what are y'all's thoughts? The other question is, how much? Some people actually speculating Bibi was kind of surprised when this announcement came out. What are y'all's thoughts? Was this a carefully calculated move? Is this something that Bibi and Trump came up with together? Is this just a classic Trump just throw this out there and see how the world reacts?
Well, it's for sure that they've been talking about relocating. On the other side, they've been talking about relocating Arabs from Gaza. And the Trump administrations, that's actually been an internal thing that they've been talking about for a while. So I don't think that's a new idea. It's new to everybody, but that's come out that wasn't such a new idea.
Well, Trump would never do this without Israel's approval. It's not like he's doing this rogue and shocking Bibi. There were conversations that had to have happened before that announcement happened. That wasn't shocking Bibi when he's actually in the press.
I'm not sure about that. I can imagine him just thinking of it as he's answering the question.
I don't think so.
Can I also say something? There's something good going on when you see Bibi beaming at the White House. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, just
beaming.
contrast it to Obama, who snuck Bibi in through the back door by the big garbage disposal unit. And now Trump is the first guest coming into the White House and being treated as the ally and friend that, there's such a sharp contrast there, regardless of the outcome of this. It's a restoration that I think Americans are celebrating, Israel is celebrating. I think that there's really a blessing that's happening, because regardless of how I feel about this Gaza thing, I feel that Trump's heart is in the right place. He wants something good. And I think that nations are also judged on a macro level. Like it or not, whether it's fair or not, it is fair in the eyes of God. And a leader that is democratically elected is a reflection of the nation on some level. And for so long, I felt like America did not have blessing upon it. It was not heading down a path of virtue and godliness and biblical truth at all. And now Trump has been brought in, and he's surrounded himself by people who are biblical, God-fearing people.
Are you thinking about coming to Israel this year? If you've been on the typical tour to Israel before, you probably had an amazing experience. You fell in love with Israel, and now you want to come back. But I'm guessing you might be looking for something that goes beyond the tour bus experience and goes deeper. Here at Hayovel, our mission is to bring Christian volunteers from around the world to serve the land and people of Israel in agriculture. At the same time, we're committed to connecting you to the roots of your faith and your Bible by experiencing the places where it all began. Our programs do things like plant trees, harvest grapes, prune the vineyards, harvest other types of crops, and many other projects that all get your hands dirty in the soil of the Holy Land. At the same time, we take you to places that most tour buses don't go. You'll stand where Abraham stood, pick up pottery from ancient Shiloh, and travel the same road that Jesus walked. You'll meet the local pioneers and hear their miraculous stories of life in Israel's biblical heartland. Our annual grape harvest volunteer trip starts on August 20th, 2025. And this is a trip you don't want to miss out on. To find out more and to start your journey, visit serveisrael.com or click the link in the description below. We can promise you this will be a life-changing trip. Just go to serveisrael.com or click the link in the description below.
To me, that was the greatest thing that's happened. Trump is actually peeling back the layers of lies, and the truth for the first time is really being exposed. The truth is being revealed. Gazans have no right to that land. They're not Gazans as if they're indigenous to Gaza. Everyone says 2/3 of them are refugees. They have no claim in any right to that land. The Palestinian people is a fiction that was created just to destroy destroy Israel. Because if there's a Palestinian people, then a Palestinian people obviously needs a Palestine. And Arabs are from Arabia, not Judea and not Gaza. And so now it's saying, yes, we need to relocate them because there's no claim there. And the truth now, because evil uses delusions and illusions to mask the truth. And now he's just peeling that away, exposing the truth that this land belongs to Israel and working together with Israel, coming out with a joint statement with the Prime Minister of Israel next to him saying, we're going to rebuild Gaza from a base of terrorism and destruction to a base of liberty, unity, and prosperity. Like,
Well,
what a beautiful idea.
Let me ask you a question. If you guys have this little voice in the back of your head, a little skeptical voice, then maybe this is a negotiating technique. Maybe this is, and by the way, I don't think any of this is necessarily premeditated. I think he's such an instinctive person that it's just coming out. But he was just talking about the Gulf of America. It's not the Gulf of Mexico anymore. It's the Gulf of America. And we're going to put 25% tariffs on Mexico. And then all of a sudden, Mexico's like, well, back it up. How about this? We'll give you 10,000 of our soldiers to guard from Mexican infiltration with fentanyl into America. And Trump is getting all these things he wants. He backed off the tariffs, not renaming it the Gulf of America. He just throws things out there and then ends up getting real concessions from people who are afraid of his errata. Maybe that's part of what this is. He's throwing such a thing out there, but it's not really an intention for him to go and build the Riviera.
Well,
and
it's 100% in America's interest to create a Puerto Rico-like place in the land of Israel. That would provide them a military base that doesn't need to be
Israel's
with
already that
aircraft
military
carriers,
base.
but now it would be America's military base. There is pictures coming out in Egypt where they've brought weapons, vehicles, tanks lining up on Egypt's
That was
border.
concerning.
All of a sudden now there's going to be an American military presence in a place that would theoretically be America. That will bring a new stability to the region and to the area.
I like that for right now. What happens if that was a military base under our last administration and that wasn't so pro-Israel? That's when it gets concerning to me at thinking long term. What happens when Trump's no longer the president and say we get a administration that's not so pro-Israel? That's the little thing behind the scenes to me that's concerning. If it's not built on a sovereign Israel basis, then I could foresee problems. Not now, because we got to support it. Like, Trump loves Israel, he supports Israel. My big thought is when Trump in that video, he says that we're going to rebuild this for the locals. Basically, we're going to rebuild. Who's he talking about? There's a lot of ambiguity. There's not a lot of clarity, not clear, and he's doing that from purpose. I'm sure he's leaving a lot of room here to develop this.
I listened to this whole piece of the press conference. It was very ambiguous. It wasn't clear when he was saying settle them back in. Is he talking about settling in the Hamas jihadist Gazans? Or is he not talking about them? Does he understand that the overwhelmingly vast majority of these Gazan civilians are actually terrorist Hamas supporters? Well, does he understand that?
From what I understand, he does know that now, because I believe he watched that 45-minute documentary that was put together on the atrocities.
Has he watched it yet?
He did watch it before that meeting with Netanyahu. That was, in my mind, a game-changing reality when he was able to just see evil for what evil is. And that's why when he says he wants to remove the Gazans, he's not saying temporarily, meaning they're backtracking now the State Department, but he wants to remove them from the land. And in my mind, that is such a giant step forward. Yes, I understand that in 4 years from now, if a new administration arises, but right now we have a chance to move the jihadist evil from the land and then establish a place of freedom and liberty. Then the freedom and liberty will decide where they align, meaning that would be a true part of the Abraham Accords.
I think that's an amazing way to finish today's show. We could go on for hours and hours, and I think the headlines are literally happening as we speak. So, guys, you need to stay tuned to Israel. Also, if you want some more Torah with Rabbis Jeremy Gimpel and Ari Abramovitz, you guys need to join the Land of Israel Fellowship at thelandofisrael.com. We'll put a link in the description below. And I do want to remind you guys, you got to get your tickets now for the Israel Summit, June 9th through 11th in Dallas, Texas, because they're 25% off right now, and they're not going to stay that way. If you want to meet all of us here and a whole lot more amazing speakers, Israelis, it's going to be an amazing, amazing event. We're super excited about it. Make sure you get your tickets for the Israel Summit. We'll also put a link for that in the description below. Guys, as always, stop listening to the lies and propaganda and connect with the truth of what's happening in Israel. We'll be back very soon here at the Land of Israel Network and the Israel Guys.